Will, thanks for joining us. Why is the sports world dragging its feet on the coronavirus?
The obvious answer I think is money, and if you look at what there's several answers. I think that obviously money is part of it. Look what happened to South by Southwest Film Festival. That when that was canceled, that cost people a lot of money, cost people their jobs. Well, imagine what that would happen in the world of sports. How many people would lose their jobs, both part-time workers and full-time workers, and never minding the money to the leagues would lose out. It's hard to turn the ship around in a lot of these things. People have talked about, well, what's Atlanta going to do when they host the Final Four? I mean, Atlanta was awarded that Final Four in 2014. I mean, these things are really kind of long moving. There's a lot of money to be made, and it's hard to turn the ship around. But I also think there is something cultural about it. I actually feel like sports in particular, there is, and Dan, I'm sure you probably, even anecdotally, when you talk to people in sports, there's this kind of idea that like, oh, that's somewhere else, or that's something that we'll deal with otherwise, or that's something happening in Europe because they're all crammed together or some other thing. LeBron James kind of talked about the idea of like, I'm not going to play in front of any fans, and kind of inherent in his phrasing in that was, oh, this is not going to be a problem for us. And I think you've seen that in the slowness to, basically the best example of this I saw was when the city of San Francisco announced, hey, there are no more gatherings of more than 10,000 people. But the Warriors, who, of course, have this new stadium right there in San Francisco, did not cancel their games and had no notion that they're going to. I feel like sports still feels like this is something that's happening somewhere else. And we'll find out pretty quick whether or not they're right about that.
And also, you mentioned in your column that, when you're an athlete, you fight through pain. You played through pain. But illness, that's viewed as weak. Like we're not embracing this because it's not an injury. It's you have a sickness here, and it's almost like that sports mentality of you fight through this and you play through this, and you're not going to tell us where we can't have games and how many people can show up.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to also the outsideness of it. Like the reason, to me, the best example of how kind of weird sports has gotten about this is this new thing that the leagues have done where they said, we're not going to have media coming into the clubhouse now. And I feel like I think it's misguided from a journalistic aspect. But more to the point, it seems that that's not really what these cancellation of events are about. The issue of not having these games is not worrying of protecting the players from getting sick. It's that when you have all of these people in a large place, that's more likely to make those that are disadvantaged, or those that are older, or those who are weaker. That's who you're trying to protect by canceling these events or having fans not there. And it doesn't feel like athletes don't see it that way. I don't think the leagues see it that way either. That there is this idea that, like, oh, well, listen, if I've had the flu, I've played through the flu. I've had a migraine, and I fought through that. Playing through injuries, let alone playing through what may feel like just the flu to these guys, it doesn't feel like something you should change your entire life from doing. I mean, people play with massive injuries, probably times they shouldn't play with massive injuries, to try to fight through it. The idea that because it's not real yet here, it's just kind of reported things, it feels like something that is outside. And the problem is if you're not making, everyone's still playing games now. And so this is actually kind of what happened in Italy. About 10 days ago, they were about where we were now. And it felt like, oh, that's happening somewhere else, and we'll be fine. It's just a flu, and they can almost joke about it. And they didn't stop some of the gatherings that have led to some of the issues they've had now.
And also, I think the NBA being forward-thinking might be the first league that says we're going to hold games in front of empty arenas, or maybe not hold games. I don't look at the NCAA as being a trendsetter here with what's going to happen with March Madness. It might take somebody else to be the first domino for that to happen. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the NBA would be first. And frankly, I do think once someone does it, you're going to see the dominoes go pretty quick. And I think that's another reason that you're seeing people so hesitant to do it, because once the NBA, and I agree with you that it will be the NBA, if the NBA says, you know what, we're canceling games or we're not having games in front of fans, then it's making a decision not to do it. At that point, like right now, collectively, we can all be on the same page. I found it telling that all those leagues came out with that press release together. They were trying to say, hey, listen, we're all on the same page here, so no one's stepping out on a limb. So I think no one wants to do that, but once someone steps out on a limb, it will be hard for the NHL to justify it. To me, maybe the NCAA tournament isn't canceled, but the NIT will be. and like some of those like non-essential ones. I think that's where you'll see once someone makes that first step foot forward, I think the dominoes will fall pretty fast.
Will, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Of course, as always, sir. Thank you.
That's Will Leitch, columnist, New York Magazine contributing editor.